One of the most powerful prayers that we can ever pray, you can find in Acts chapter 9 when Saul is on his way to Damascus and he sees this bright light and he has this life-changing, life-altering experience. And he says, Lord, what would you have me to do? I still think that is one of the most powerful prayers that we can ever pray. Lord, what would you have me to do? What would you have me to do in this situation? And I'm convinced that we often don't pray that prayer because we don't really want to know what the Lord would have us to do. I mean, how many of us are willing to say, Lord, if this is something that you don't want, shut it down. Just close the door and be done with it. That's a tough prayer to pray. Also a tough prayer to pray is, Lord, what would you have me to do in this particular circumstance? I recall back in 2002, Roberta and I got 3 different calls to different areas of ministry. And one of them was in the Dakotas. One of them was about 3 hours from my mom and dad up near Albany, New York. And it just seemed like it made sense to accept a call like that. But Roberta, being the good wife that she is, said, Mike, we really need to pray about this. We came out to North Dakota, to Bowman, North Dakota, and checked that situation out as well. And it just, there were just so many things. It just seemed like the Lord was calling us to it. But I had to make sure. I had to know that I knew that God was calling us to North Dakota. And so I laid a fleece out. I'm actually going to be preaching about that this coming weekend, about laying out fleeces. And I just wanted to share this fleece that we laid out, or that I laid out, as I was driving down toward town. For those that still live in the New York area, that are friends of ours that live in Shenango County, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I was making my way from South Plymouth, where we lived. Most of you remember where we lived, on Route 23 there. I was making my way down to Norwich, and I was going past the Canasawakta Country Club. And I was praying out loud to God that He would show me where we needed to go. I felt this pull to come to North Dakota and to minister in North Dakota, but I wanted to make sure, because we had 3 little kids. Taylor, my oldest, was 9. Mikey was 3, and we really didn't want to move our family halfway across the country if that's not what God wanted us to do. And so I was talking to the Lord in the car, and I was driving past the Canasawakta Country Club, and I used to stop there. I believe it was a Monday night. I used to stop there, and I would go along the ditches next to the road there. And if you live in that area, you know what I'm talking about. And I would pick up golf balls, and I would put them into egg cartons. And then after I got 2 or 3 dozen golf balls, I would take them down to my mom and dad's, and I would get a driver, and I would blast them into the woods. It was just something that I like to do. I never got more than 2 or 3 golf balls on any given night. I'd stop and I'd go along the ditches, and once in a while I'd pick up a golf ball or 2. On a really good night, I'd pick up 3. This night I was feeling this pull to go to North Dakota, but I wanted to make sure that God was calling us there. And so I was just praying, and I just laid this fleece out. I said, Lord, I'm going past the Canasawakta Country Club tonight, and if you want us to go to North Dakota, I need to get more than 5 golf balls in the ditches next to the Canasawakta Country Club tonight. I stopped, and I picked up 16 golf balls. I remember getting this shiver up my back and thinking, could this be? Could God really want us to be going to North Dakota? And then there was this other part of me that thought, this is some kind of a coincidence. They had some kind of a tournament over the weekend. There's just no way that God's calling us to North Dakota. It just seems so out of the realm of possibility. It didn't even make any sense. So the following night, this is kind of like the story of Gideon in the Bible with golf balls. He used a fleece, I used golf balls. I'm driving again to Norwich, on my way to Norwich, and I said, Lord, really, and I actually began to weep. I began to blubber a little bit, and I said, Lord, I'm moving my wife and kids here if we go to North Dakota. I need to know what to do. I said, Lord, I want to follow your way. I want to do what you want me to do. I want to be living within your will. But I got to know. I've got to know. Lord, tonight, and here it is Tuesday night, and the night before I'd gotten 16 golf balls, and I never had that number before. But the following night, I said, Lord, if I'm supposed to move my family to North Dakota, I need more than 5 golf balls again tonight. Keep in mind, this had never happened before the night before that with 16. I'd never gotten more than 5, usually only 2 or 3. But I said, Lord, it's Tuesday. Help me to get more than 5 golf balls this evening if we're supposed to be making our way to North Dakota. As God is my witness, I stopped my vehicle and I walked along the ditches next to the roadway with Canaswakta Country Club. I picked up 42 golf balls. 42 golf balls. I got into the car and I didn't have any Kleenex with me. I had to search around to find some napkin from a fast food restaurant to blow my nose with, and I was weeping. I was like, oh Lord, what is it you're calling me to? I don't even know what you're calling me to here. 42 golf balls. And I mean, that was an eye-opener, total eye-opener. The weird part about it is, and I went home and I told Roberta, and I just said, honey, we're moving to North Dakota. We have to. God is calling us to Bowman, North Dakota. The next day, I called Bowman, North Dakota. I called the Dakota Conference and I told them, yes, we will accept the call to Bowman. The next day, I called the Bowman post office because I knew we were going to have to transfer all of our mail from New York State over to North Dakota, and so I was going to make some arrangements to be able to do that, to be able to forward all of our mail to Bowman. I called the post office and I asked them about getting a post box, and the gentleman at the post office said, yeah, we can rent you a post box. He said, let me go get you a number and I'll come back. And he left me on hold for about a minute or so. He called me back and he said, okay, Pastor Temple. He said, we've got a box lined up for you. P.O. Box 42. Did you catch that number? I'm telling you, that was an absolute clincher for me. I knew that we were going to be living in God's will if we moved to Bowman, North Dakota. And I didn't feel one bit sorry for selling my place and getting in that old 1993 Jeep that we had with our 3 little kids with the bald tires and making our way out to North Dakota, where we've been ministering here now in November 18th. We've been ministering here for 20 years, since 2002. I want to encourage anybody that's listening to this message, don't leave God out of the equation. Whatever it is that you're trying to decide in your life, whether it's where to move, or whether it's a relationship that you need to be in, or something you need to be doing with your life, maybe a career, whatever that is, don't leave God out of the equation. Let Him help you make a good decision. He sees around the next corner. You don't. I don't. And so I want to encourage you to leave everything at God's feet and just say, Lord, what would you have me to do? Just like Saul said, Lord, what would you have me to do in this circumstance? Where do you want me to go? How do you want me to move forward in this life? I would encourage you to include God in any of your plans. Let Him help you and assist you in your plans. He won't let you down. God bless.